Hello, everybody. Welcome to Property Elevator Live. My name is Elizabeth Warburton, and I am the host of the show. Now, I know Ranjan has already delved in, and he's pretty much taken up everything that I was going to say. But essentially, Property Elevator is a show on Sky where people come to pitch their property deals for funding. However, not only do these guys get funding for their deals, but they also get the chance to JV and join the developers and very, very seasoned investors that we have on our panel. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce every one of our angels. Unfortunately, Helen can't be with us today, but we are going to get her up on the screen, so she's going to join us on Zoom. There she is. Everyone say hi, Helen. Yay! Okay, so first up, please can you all put your hands together for Mr. Paul Mahoney. Hello, Paul.
Hello.
Please can you give everybody a quick introduction of who you are and where you're from and what you do?
Yeah, of course. Well, Paul Mahoney is my name. I'm the founder and managing director of Nova Financial Group. Our stand is literally just there behind you. And we advise on pretty well all aspects of property investment. That's my business. And then I suppose a bit further to that is I'm also a property investor and developer myself. So joining the panel today and hoping to see some good deals.
Lovely. Thank you, Paul. And please can you put your hands together now for Mr. Ranjan Bhattacharya. Hello, Ranjan.
Hello, Elizabeth.
Please, can you give an introduction for anybody who doesn't know you and who doesn't follow you on YouTube?
My name is Ranjan Bhattacharya. I've been investing in developing properties for 30 years. I specialize in easy developments, which you can do under permitted development rights, converting commercial buildings to residential use. For those of you who don't know, I have a YouTube channel where I share a lot of the learning and tips from our projects on there. Just Google me at Succeed in Property or Ranjan on YouTube, and you'll find we've got 55,000 subscribers on that channel, and you'll learn plenty from that. See you guys soon.
Lovely. Thank you, Ranjan. And now may I introduce our head angel, Mr. John Howard.
It's looking good.
Aren't you doing the bit?
Hello, John.
Hello, Lissy. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
Good. Sharp. Ready to do some deals.
Good. Please, can you just give everybody a quick introduction?
Well, I won't do what Ranjan's just done, which is publicise himself to crazy. I mean, he's just, that's like a £1,000 advert we just had of him. So I'm John Howard. I've been a property developer and investor for 40-something years. In that time, I bought and sold over 4,000 properties, developed in over 80 cities and towns in the UK. And finally, after 43 years, I've just done a deal in Scotland where I purchased 26 part-finished houses and flats.
Woo!
Thank you. I've got 2 more deals in Scotland as well that I'm hopefully going to happen. So the law's different up there, so you've got to be a bit sharper. But all good.
Anyone got a deal in Scotland? Send them to John. And finally, last but not least, we have Mr. Nicholas Woolwork with us today.
Run the booklets.
Yes.
Pass the
Hello,
booklets.
Nick.
Hello, how are you?
How
How
are
is
we?
everyone? Nice to see everyone.
If you could just give a quick intro, that would be wonderful.
Absolutely, yes, I'm Nicholas Woolwork. I also have a YouTube channel. Just looking for my name
So
on YouTube.
we've all got, Nicholas,
I
we've
am
all got a YouTube channel, mate.
Because Ranjan keeps banging on about his YouTube channel, I thought I'd better start that in lockdown. So
It's already started,
it's
isn't
going
it?
great.
Squabbling.
My
no.
YouTube channel's bigger than yours.
I know it bloody is. I'm trying hard to catch up.
Size isn't everything.
Moving swiftly on from the dad jokes. I'm a property developer by trade. I've been developing and investing in property for 20 years. I'm a property mentor, property JV partner, and generally trying to help people in the industry learn from the years of mistakes that I've made to try and help you not make as many mistakes in your journey. And pleased to be here.
Wonderful. It's lovely to have you here, Nick. Now, do we have Helen on our screens? Are we able to get her up? Hello, Helen. Can we hear her?
Hello.
Yay!
Hey!
If you could just give a quick introduction
Shirley,
to our
Hill
audience. Maybe there's a bit of a delay here.
I'm absolutely gutted not to be there with you all today, but by the wonders of modern technology, here I am. Lovely to see you all. So brief intro from me. I'm a former investment banker, been in finance for over 25 years, now a property development investor. Actually, I'm an investor across a number of different asset classes. I'm my own kind of asset manager. I'm a co-founder of Property Sisters. We too have a YouTube channel.
Hey!
Get that in there.
What's his name?
I write also for Property Investor News, who are also at the show, so go and check them out. And yeah, I'm really, really glad that I could join you by Zoom.
We are so glad that you could still be with us. Thank you. All right, so let's do some deals then, hey? Should we get our first guy up? Please, can you all put your hands together and give a very warm welcome to Stuart.
Do you know the lady?
No.
I need to introduce her.
Lovely to meet you too. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us.
No, it's a pleasure, thank you.
If you could just give a quick 30-second introduction and what you've brought today for the Angels, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Stuart Wyeth. I've done a few properties recently, and I run a construction company. And we're looking to raise £810,000 for a 50% markup in the uplift of the property, which we're estimating to be about £415,000 per partner.
Lovely. So a juicy one to start. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
I will leave you for your pitch.
Cheers. Thank you. Hi, good afternoon, Angels. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. So my name's Stuart. I run a loft conversion company. I've sort of dedicated my whole career since leaving college. Originally wanted to become an architect and ran a loft conversion company where we do about 100 lofts a year for residential customers. I've got about 70 contractors that work for us on a daily basis. So I've got quite a good understanding of what build costs will be. And this property has come up on the market. It's still available. I'm hoping none of you will come and steal it, but effectively we want to offer about 2.25 million for the property. We estimate the costs, the build costs and the financing of the servicing the finance at around 1.25 million, with a GDV of around 4.5 million, which is around just under £1 million profit. It's going to be under Class MA, so we've broke the building down over the floor plans to potentially achieve 15 one-bedroom units and 3 two-bedroom units. There's obviously some capital allowances, aircon, security systems, lifts, etc. that I don't know enough about, so I'd love some guidance on that. It's in a great location, sort of 10 minutes from Heathrow, a couple of minutes from the M25, great commuter links to London. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. The layout's inside, it's a 1990s building, so with regards to the build out, it's concrete floors everywhere, it's open plan spaces, and it's got light stub partitioning, so it's quite easy to rip it back to brickwork and then to carve it up into those flats.
Amazing.
Stuart, thank you very much for that excellent start.
Thank you.
Nice and comprehensive and direct and to the point. Okay, who would like to start? Nicholas, I described you as a cuddly teddy bear the other day, which I
one of the nicer things you
I
called
meant
me.
as a compliment because you're very popular. Most teddy bears are popular. Okay. So, Nicholas, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect permitted development building, isn't it? It's a nice size, 10,000 square foot. You can get a decent number of units out of it. This would have suited my old model of micro studios, around the sort of 25 square metre model. Can't do that anymore. So you're only able to squeeze 15 one beds in and a couple of two beds. Most important thing I want to know is what's the area like? Because as we know, financing these, if they're in the middle or at the back of an industrial park, almost impossible. Certainly on the resale units is very hard, although you can get the development finance potentially. This looks like it's got another building to the left of it, which is the same. So I'm guessing is maybe a cluster of these, but just describe the area for me, because that's really important.
Yeah, sure. So it's a high street location. It's a 2-minute walk from the train station, which is direct to London.
Oh, wow.
There is a shared car park, which has got 35 spaces, and another office block will use that. But it is on the high street, and it's right in the middle of all the action. It's a secondary location, so it's secondary town. I've got some comparables in there. The one beds, they sell for between 215 and 240, and the two beds are quite inflated at the moment. They're between 370 and 425. So I've averaged the one bed flats at around 240 just under 232, and the two beds to be 293. So I do think there's scope for some high value. And obviously, I'm a professional builder. You know, we do things to a very high standard. There's also a slide in there of what the profession. I only started doing property development when COVID hit. On the growth chart where there's a missing bits of data on their growth chart where they stopped collecting the data through COVID, that's when I bought my first HMO, and in 12 months I've done 3 HMOs and 2 buy-to-lets, all BRR strategies, all HMO, and they're all high value. So I do believe that we can build these into good high value properties that we can refinance ideally and keep the SPV for 10 years and live on the income and make it passive income.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Nicholas, happy with the
I'm
answers?
happy with that. I'll let others...
I'm not going to go to Ranjan next because I'm not. Paul, all the way from Australia, what do you think?
A couple of questions. So you mentioned you'd like to get it for 2.25 million, but they want 2.6. How confident are you you'll get it for that?
I'd like to try and build a relationship with one or more angels. I knew that's going to happen. Angels, I'd love to try and build a relationship up where I've got access to that sort of funds. If it's not this building, it's another similar building. Like I said, I bought an old Boots building through Ranjan's course, which I highly recommend, to do the commercial conversion, which I've done over COVID.
Don't forget his YouTube channel. Plug the YouTube channel.
YouTube's fantastic. But yeah, he gave me the confidence to buy this old Boots building where we originally bought it to get 7 flats and a shop. Through Class MA and through a lot more education and ongoing evolution of the building, we've managed to get 9 one-bedroom flats. And it's almost too easy to convert with the team I've got around me, so I am looking for the next level. So if it's not this building, because it is a competitive market, I can't see how anyone's going to actually build this or buy it for more, just because I'm willing to all the building costs at open price. So basically open book it with the JV partner and my company, who will leverage all their experience and knowledge. We will just charge a small percentage to cover the costs of that company. And then obviously, so a builder, if someone's going to develop it and find a builder, builders are so busy, they're charging 40-50% markup, and you've got to wait a year, and we can mitigate those things by building this into our build schedule. So I am looking for the next job this size for sort of Q1 of next year.
Yeah, and I suppose that leads into my next question. So you get it for 2.25, you're building it pretty much at cost, but the profit margin is still only 19%.
The profit margin is, I think, 23-24%, based on if we was to sell it. I mean, there's a different margin. If we was to sell it, we would pull out, bring up my numbers. So two exit strategies. One, if we was to sell it, we would bring about 1.6 million back out of the deal, but once the original investment's been paid, there's about £830,000 profit, which would be split 50-50. Or ideally, we would refinance it, pull out the original investment, or as close to, and then have an income of around £54,000 a year, which would be split 50-50. And it's 23-24% tight in today's market if we buy it for 2.2. But also, I've got some options of how we could increase that by obviously increasing the value of the GDV of the flats. We can obviously try and claim some capital allowances, project evolution, so actually try and potentially get another flat in it. It's hard to know exactly whether 7 one-bed flats would work over 5 one-beds and a 2-bed until a full survey's done. We could obviously decrease contingency costs, which is 7% in the numbers, and potentially bring the bridging costs down to a private funding, which would save again another few percent, which would all help.
Paul?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Any other questions?
I think just one slide, and I'm not teaching you to suck eggs here, Stuart, but you've done one that was too easy, and now you're looking at one that's twice the size, and whether that's a good idea or not is the question in my head. You know, maybe you stick to the ones that are too easy. That sounds great to me.
What I would say, if I could do simple deals every day of the week, that's all I would do, Stuart. I don't want to put my neck on the line. I don't want to risk my arse like I have to sometimes and go to the bank and everything else. I don't want to do that. But I have to make the margins I want to make. And as the market deteriorates, which is great news for a lot of us, by the way, in my view, then I'll have to do that less. So deals become easier. I don't need to do the difficult deals. I can do the simple deals. Now, Ranjan only has ever done simple deals. Ranjan, what do you think?
I think, I guess I know a little bit about the deal that you did before, the Boots one, and it was a far more simpler than this, and I think the margins were a lot better. And I think, I think one of the issues I have with this one is that if your exit is sell, what have you looked at in terms of, I know you've put some comparables in, but the building kind of doesn't look like a purpose-built flat that you may be comparing it to. And that would mean that the end prices would get a discount to what those sort of comparables that you'd find on Zoopla would be. How have you factored that side of things in?
The Boots building was a 1909 Victorian building, so we've taken everything back to brick, changed every bit of timber, re-roofed it with chippies ultimately, and that was far more complex than this open plan building, which we'll be able to build a lot more competitively. And also know from that experience, we're closing up now, kitchens are going in, that we can comfortably build for about 670, 690 a square metre, a square metre. So I do think this will be a lot easier to convert. And with regards to the look of the building, what we would do is we'd want to wrap these areas, so actually convert the roof space with a wrap, which would be you can see out, but you can't see in, and actually go for a LED.
Great idea, Stuart.
Very similar to what Nicholas has done on his property over in Fleet. And then I'd also even do a LED roof on the overside, and then do a brick on the sides of the building. So it actually looks a lot more residential than officey.
Oh, I see.
And that building we've wrapped actually for the guys there. I think it's the largest residential building that's been wrapped in the UK, as far as I can tell.
Really?
Someone
Are you
else,
sure?
We'll go and find another one. Show me.
Well, how many flats is it?
44.
44, and you call that big?
I didn't say it was big.
No.
I said it's the largest residential wrap building. It's 30,000 square foot building.
Well,
and it was a lot of fun wrapping it actually, because it looked ugly. It looked worse than that.
I think that's debatable.
It looks fun. It looks fun now.
So, Ranjan, any other questions?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Shall I say where I am, Stuart? Very investable, clearly. I'm always concerned when a builder wants to do a job, even when they're my joint venture partner for no profit or very little profit. It always makes me nervous.
He's going to get half.
So the builder is an investor in my other business who does this. So they own 40%, I own 60%. So they're fully invested in the deal. And they work for a set fee as well. So they actually cover their mortgage. While we built this, and they're going to start living on the income.
If you'd like to come to Scotland, I'll be delighted. Because we're struggling for builders. Okay, so how I see this is that you're super investable. For me, this deal isn't good enough. The market is deteriorating. You've got sale prices, I think, of 240 and 293. So one bed's at 240, yeah? Sorry, one bed's at 240, two beds at 293, yeah? So it doesn't need, with a 24% profit margin, doesn't need much deterioration to get to zero profit. And for me, I'm looking at 35% net profit. In fact, I'm looking at a higher net profit now than I was two months ago or a month ago, because the market's deteriorating and I can afford to look for better deals. And I think you've just been caught between almost like a time warp where this deal looked great a year ago. Now it doesn't look so exciting because the market is changing. And you've got to be super careful, Stuart. When you're in this transition, you've really got to be careful. You've got to have very high standards. In my experience is that I've tended to jump in a bit too soon on deals once the market starts to deteriorate. And in the past, I should have been more patient. Because let me tell you, when it starts to go, you'll be bringing deals much better than this. So for me today, for me.
No, thank you very much.
No problem. Nicholas.
Yeah, I think for me, to be putting in sort of over 800 grand into a building for only 50% of the profit, the numbers just work even less. And quoting 1.25 million for all of your costs, is that including finance costs and things like that? You see at a 10,000 square foot building, even at £200 a square foot, that's 2 million. And I think you'll really struggle even with your guys. I think that's really too low. And I think that's where, as John said, I think that's going to eat into your profit too far. I like your strategy. I think you're an incredibly investable person. And I think you could definitely do that deal. But I think, physically you could do the deal with your expertise so far. Yeah. But it's just too tight in this market, as John says. So for the same reason, it's just not working. Sorry.
Thank you, Nicholas.
No problem.
Paul.
Helen. Everybody, Helen.
Helen.
Oh, yeah. Helen, come on, what do you got to say?
Hi guys, well, it won't surprise you, I'm pretty much on the same page. And actually, just to show you how real this is, I don't have a copy of the presentation, so I'm going off what I've heard, but I agree with a lot of what's said. What you're presenting to us is risky in the sense that you're on your journey from leveling up from something that you've said is too easy to the next step. And you might be ready for that, and I really hope you are, but you might not as well, and then we need to be there to catch you and to help you. So to be honest, it's beyond my risk appetite at the moment, but I really wish I was there to say hi in person properly. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Paul?
Yeah, I think just, to echo some of what the guys said, I think it's the right type of deal, but not a good enough deal in itself. The number I'm looking at here, and I might be looking at the wrong number, but the sales figures here, if the exit is to sell of 19%, as John says, if your costs increase slightly and the sale prices decrease slightly, that very easily turns to zero.
Yeah, it's like that.
Which means it's not worth doing, in my view. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
That makes sense.
Now, all is not lost, because there's Ranjan's next, so you never know what he's going to say. Ranjan.
Okay, listen, the margins ain't there in this time in the market. And I would actually, and I think most savvy developers will be reaching the same conclusion. So the thing is to go back to the vendor or the agent and make an offer at the price that works. And try to, and if it doesn't work with making the margins, then go for the next one. You keep doing that, and in this market, sooner or later, someone's going to accept, because everyone's working on the same logic and reasoning. Sooner or later, within a couple of months, everyone will be on this similar viewpoint. I think also it'll be a little bit of a challenge to sell this on the selling exit. And the problem with these sort of things is you make your money in the last few flats, and that can take a long, long time. And as a rental exit, I'm not really sure whether it's all there for all the hassle, quite frankly, and the management costs and all of that. So for that reason, I'm not sure whether that's for me. I think the buyer of this property will be getting it cheaper than you're intending to, or they may have existing buy-to-let assets in the area, and they'll be looking to add it, and they'll have a good rental exit strategy for this building.
Stuart,
thank you very much.
I think the answer is if you can nick it for 1.8 million, something like that, that's what it needs to be at. And you might, people that I find are embarrassed to make a low offer, never be embarrassed to make a low offer, because the worst that can happen, they say no, and guess what? Their sale falls through, they've sold it to someone for more money, they're back with a begging bowl sometimes. So, believe in what you're doing, work on high margins, but Stuart, today I'm afraid it's a no, but good luck, and hope to see you again soon.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, Stuart. What a fantastic first pitch that we had. Right, next up, we have the lovely Jazz. Please, can you put your hands together and give her a very warm welcome to the stage.
This is the personalised one.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Jazz. Thank you for being here. If you would like to just introduce yourself,
Sure.
and then please give a 30-second introduction of the pitch
Thank you.
and what you're after from our angels today, and I will leave you there. Good luck.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Jo.
Clever.
Got the name wrong. Hi, angels.
Hi.
And hi, everyone. Thanks for having me today. So I'm one half of a husband and wife partnership. Husband's over there in the audience. He's the brains, I'm the beauty, I'm the talker, apparently. So I'm up here.
I'm the boss.
Who said I'm the boss? Did you hear that? Yeah. So we've been investing for about 8-9 years now. Started off with traditional buy-to-lets and worked our way up to larger developments, and that's what I'm here to talk about today. It's a Grade 2 listed former hotel sitting on a plot of land which was a former bowling green of 1 acre. It's got existing planning permission to convert the hotel to 10 apartments and to build 12 new apartments and 9 houses. We have submitted a pre-app for revision to that to make the site work for us, and that's been well received following a meeting that we had with the council last week. So the things have been evolving on this project. I had planned to come to the last event, but we didn't have enough information to come and pitch it then, so we're here today.
Great. Sorry, I'm slightly confused there. You said it's got planning, but so I'm just going straight in, John. But you're doing a pre-app.
Yeah, it's got existing planning. So the current owner submitted that in 2016. He's done nothing with it. He's allowed the listed building to basically go to rack and ruin, but the planning is confirmed as still live. We have confirmation of that, but we realised that we could maximise the site even further, so we have submitted a pre-app. Had a meeting on site with the planners and conservation to talk about the current condition of the listed building, the massing of the site, improvements we could do to the site. I don't know how we managed to do it, but we got them physically out onto site for a 2-hour meeting before Christmas. And we had a meeting in their offices last week for another 2 hours. So they're keen to get the building brought back into use because it's a local national treasure as well. So as you can see from the picture, it's a beautiful looking building, but it's absolutely ruined internally.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation. I'll have a quick go, if I may. The net profit on the deal is?
So just shy of $1 million.
1 million. And that's to do 10 flats, 12 houses, 10 conversions, 12 new build.
No, so the revised planning is for 10 flats in the conversion.
Yep.
That's the existing planning. We're not changing that.
No.
To build an assisted living block of 16 apartments. That's via direct communication and contact with the council, housing commissioner, the charities. We've delivered a project with them before and another project in the Greater Manchester area, which is where this is.
Yeah.
So we had confirmation from them on the number of units that they would like to take on a 20-year lease.
Right.
And then we've increased the number of houses from 9 to 10. Slight reconfiguration of the layout on the site.
Do you think that the 90-10 houses and the listed building flats are going to be, the value is going to be reduced by the fact that you've got assisted living next door to them?
No, so further to conversations that we've had with the providers and again with the Housing Commissioner is that they're very, very keen on integrating supported living schemes into the area. And the previous scheme that we've done in the same council, in the same area, has been well received by locals as well.
Okay. Paul?
Yeah. Couple of questions. Time frame. So from now until when we get our money back and our profit back, what's that time frame?
So I think we're anticipating 18 to 24 months from now. So the pre-app, we're expecting the formal response by the middle of next week. The full app will then be submitted mid to end August. We've already engaged a contractor, preferred contractor, who's delivered schemes like this before. And we're hoping for a full planning decision, hopefully by November, December, factoring in some time, maybe if we have to go to committee because of the size, because it's a major scheme, and then to start in earnest with site mobilisation, hopefully in January, and then 18 months to build.
Whereabouts in Manchester is it?
So I put on the front that the location is confidential because of the sensitivities surrounding the
area. Whereabouts?
So it's...
Is it, I would just say, Jazz, because I appreciate that we don't want anyone nicking the deal off you. So I would just say, is it in a good area, a reasonable area, or a rough area?
Very residential area. There's lots of regeneration going on in the council as we speak. Larger assisted living schemes going on in the area as well as new residential.
Could Ranjan leave his car there overnight because it's a nice car?
Well, my husband leaves his car there overnight.
And he's got a nice car as well. Okay, right. Okay.
He's a car man.
We know roughly what the area's like now.
The only reason I ask is I know Manchester very well.
Yep.
And I know that Greater Manchester is quite a large area.
Yes. Yep.
And some parts are quite good and some aren't.
It's halfway between Manchester and Liverpool. That's about as specific as I can get.
No worries. And am I right in saying the profit margin is about 18%?
Yeah.
That's on the full planning scheme?
Yes.
So what are the numbers on the existing planning scheme?
So we haven't run the numbers on the existing scheme because that's not what we want to deliver, and because we've had conversations with the council about what they want for the assisted living scheme.
Okay, so, I mean, that's my first red flag. You're going to buy it on the old planning, but you've not done any numbers on that as a fallback. You absolutely need to do your numbers on the fallback.
Okay.
So you know what you're stuck with if the council don't approve the improved scheme, and how you might finance the purchase. Obviously, it'll be a bridge loan to start with. Well,
Yes.
it might not actually. Well, yeah, if you're not going to build out the first scheme, it would probably have to be a bridge
To be
loan.
fair, Nicholas, I know you've never done a deal this side of Watford. But when
you're
you
right,
got,
actually,
but when
yeah.
you got, well, I'm right. Yeah, I
I
know
went
I'm
to
right.
university in Manchester.
But when you went to University of Manchester, never went back. But what
No.
you find is, up north, some of these local authorities are much easier to work with than
Yeah.
the ones down south.
Okay.
Much, much easier. And that's of interest.
So you're taking a bit of a chance on the exchanging without the full planning, but you've had very extensive conversations on that, so
Yeah.
you deem it very low risk. But I would say there's never no risk, and
No,
you should
it's
really
never
understand
100%
the existing
agree.
scheme.
Yeah. I think the reason why we have that level of confidence is because they've committed the time to us and to
Yeah.
coming out to site. They have a relationship with our architect already.
Yeah.
We've done another scheme in the council already, and the site is very, very high on their radar. It's also been brought to the attention of GMCA, so Greater Manchester Combined Authority, for grant funding and additional development funding from various departments within GMCA.
Brilliant.
So it's quite sort of a prominent project, and there's no reason to doubt that we wouldn't get the
Lovely.
revised
You've
planning.
done brilliantly. I mean, that's the good and the bad is that it's highly prominent that there is risk there.
Yeah.
But look,
Understood.
you've got it fairly under control, and I just say it's just worth knowing your backup.
What sort of,
I'll let someone else ask a question.
what's your background in property development?
So we've done a couple of schemes on assisted living. We've done commercial to residential conversions. Between us, we've got about 6 projects on the go at the moment. I've just finished a refurb on a multi-unit block of flats. I'm in the process of buying a former museum and art gallery to convert to flats. I'm doing a 15 serviced accommodation development in Derby at the moment. My husband's buying a couple of HMO blocks in Coventry. So did the vanilla buy-to-lets to start with, but have done some new build element and some conversion.
That's very impressive.
That is very impressive. I think the reason I was asking is that, I mean, to echo John's point about as you go further up north, if you like, councils are a little bit more amenable. What I tend to find is that councils are most objectionable where the profit is high, and they're more amenable where the build costs are absolutely massive, way outweigh the property purchase price. And I'm just a bit concerned about the £1,200 per square metre on the conversion, because with an old building like this, which is dilapidated, there's quite a lot of cost per square metre just to bring the property back into repair. And then on top of that, you've got the conversion cost, which is probably about right.
Yep.
So I wonder
And it's listed, Ranjan.
how accurate that is.
So we've completed a heritage statement that accompanied the pre-app, which basically states that everything internally needs to go. There isn't actually any restoration because it's so far gone. So they've agreed and accepted that basically we need to maintain the fabric of the building, the external fabric of the building, but internally there's 3 elements that they're wanting us to keep, which is a grand staircase and 2 entrance lobbies on the ground floor, which seem to have survived the damage, and they're very decorative Art Deco kind of tiling. But other than that, everything is literally back to brick.
Okay.
Say that you've done a similar scheme in the area.
So the previous project with the council was in a building which was in a conservation area. So we didn't have the concerns of still had to build to conservation. So windows had to be like-for-like replacements. Landscaping schemes had to be in keeping with the local area.
How did that go from a numbers perspective?
It was a challenging project, by far the most challenging project that we've done to date. It took us a number of years to complete. We didn't make any profit on that project because of the challenges that we had. We learnt so much through that project, but we still delivered that final scheme, and it was eventually sold on to a fund. The council basically said to us, please don't sell this one. Please stay in as our landlords because we've built the relationship with them over time.
Yeah. Okay, well, clearly you've got a lot of it. You've got a lot of experience, which is great. Let's go to Helen, shall we? And if we can, hello, Helen. You're on
Hi,
screen.
everybody.
You're on
Hello,
screen.
Joe.
Hi, Helen.
Lovely
Fellow
to
property
see you.
sister.
Thought you'd get that in.
Sorry, I'm not there in person. It's a very, very thorough presentation. You've
Yeah.
obviously put a lot of work into it. And what really appeals to me is that you're engaging all the relevant partners. So not only the planning, but the council and grants and everything that you've talked about. So that's really impressive and something for the audience definitely to learn. Explore every avenue of people that can help you that you can. My concern would be the time frame. I know it's kind of on the council's radar, but I'm just wondering how realistic a December decision for planning is. For example, I'm trying to build one tiny little house in East London, and that's been going on for, 18 months now.
Yep.
I understand this probably has more attention, but if that time frame extends,
Yep.
then obviously you've got more costs of carry. Your finance charges are going to cost more.
Sure.
And on already tight margins, you might start eroding that. That's my concern.
Yep. So I totally agree with you, Helen. The previous project we did in the same council, that took 9 months to get planning for a conversion to 7 and 2 new builds. So
Spot on, Helen.
I think we're fully appreciative of that. But we left the offices on Thursday, basically saying to them that the longer they leave it to give us the decision, the worse the condition of the building is going to get, and that we won't be spending any money on protecting the building until we have the full planning decision. So we pushed it back on them a little bit to force the decision ahead of the winter months to protect the building.
Okay. Helen,
Thanks, Helen.
We'll come back to you in a minute if we may, Helen. Have a think about what you want to do, Helen. And I'll start with Paul. Paul, what's your thoughts? We're going to wrap it up now. So.
Yeah, of course. Look, I think I agree with Helen. The work you've done on this is impressive.
Thank you.
And your background and what you've done previously is impressive, and I think you're very investable.
Yeah.
My concern is that the profit margin on this is less than the previous deal that was presented, and the time frame is longer. Now, we've got to look at it from the perspective of this is probably going to take at least 2 years. You're saying 18 to 24 months. It's probably going to be more like 2 years plus in reality. And that means it's only 9% a year. That's not a very good return.
No.
And it's too tight.
Okay.
And even if you do achieve what you're trying to achieve, you then need to think about, build costs are rising, property prices are coming down a little bit. That could end up being even less. So for that reason, it's not for me, but I'd love to see your next one.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul.
Ranjan.
Similar thing, I'd just summarise. I think this is a money pit, which is why the councils are very keen to engage. The margins ain't there really, and for that reason, I don't do listed buildings because I see people, unless they're experts in them, they dramatically underestimate the extra time, effort, and cost involved in getting all the approvals and all the people on side to make it happen. And it's far simpler doing newer buildings.
Sure.
For that reason, I think it's very, very expensive.
Thank you,
Nicholas,
Ranjan.
if you can be quite short, that would be great.
That's really tricky.
I know. That's why I said it. We haven't got long.
Okay, I'll lead on from Ranjan. Just
Yeah.
agree. Actually, the build costs are far too low. The conversion element you've put at I don't know what's that, about £150 per square foot. Is that roughly? Yeah,
So
roughly.
it took that from the valuer's evaluation report, current building,
Yeah,
BIS.
I just think it's far too tight on that building.
Okay.
And even the new builds, well under £200 a square foot. So too tight, too lengthy. Helen was bang on the money there, planning up to taking forever now. I appreciate you've got them engaged and you put pressure on them, but at the last minute they'll change the planning officer on you.
Nicholas, is that a no then?
And that's a no from me.
Okay. Helen, let's go back to Helen again. You've had a little bit of time to think about it, Helen. Not long, but what's the answer, please?
I echo very much what the guys said. The return for the time that the money is out isn't kind of really what I'm looking for, but I am so keen to follow your journey. I love how passionate and how much you believe in this project, but a no from me on today.
Thank you, Helen.
Okay, that leaves me.
Here we go again.
Guess what? Two things I can tell you. One, I've done lots and lots and lots of Grade 2 listed buildings. That's the first thing. They don't worry me. They worry Ranjan, they worry the rest of the team, they don't worry me. The second thing is, I've just done a deal between Manchester and Liverpool. These guys don't even know where that is. So that's the other good thing. The third thing is I've identified how we make money out of this deal. The deal as it stands doesn't work. But you've got an assisted living company that want to take the purpose-built block. You have to use them and use that as the nucleus to the whole deal. So you need to make a profit, a big profit, out of selling it or refinancing the assisted living. That's the key to the deal. Yep. The one problem I do have is, and I'm not being unkind, but do I want to own a flat next to an assisted living block? Now that's just me being a hard-nosed property developer, and it's not all about me, it's about the bank. What are the bank going to say? Are they going to say, oh, hang on a minute, John, not your usual thing. What the hell are you doing this for? So that's the problem. The deal needs de-risking. And when I say that, I mean de-risking before you buy it. So buy it subject to planning permission. De-risk as much as possible. The purchase price is probably too much. If we can rejiggle those things, and you feel that there's some benefit there, then please, do come back to me. It's no for the moment, but I can see how we possibly could make it work. So, Jazz, thank you very much for coming today, and hopefully you'll talk to me tomorrow.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Joe,
train to catch,
so
John.
Much, and I'm
that wasn't
so
a quick wrap-up.
After all that, it was a no.
Well, I wanted to give myself enough time to explain. That's why I rushed you all.
God, it cuts everyone short, then waffles on for 20 minutes.
You've got to be chairman for a reason.
We've got one more.
Lovely, fantastic.
Okay. All right, please, can you put your hands together for Zachary today?
Good afternoon, Angels. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zachary Miller. I made a little bit of money doing Amazon entrepreneurship. And a couple months ago, I've done a course with Ranjan, his new online course. And it's given me the confidence
that we're going to have to
That's
undo all that.
That's not a good start if you don't mind me saying.
We're going to have to undo all that hard work now.
I'm a little bit fresh to property, but his course gave me the initiative to move forward and pitch to you guys today. So what I've got is a three-story building conversion, three-story office conversion to 13 flats. I'm looking to joint venture an SPV for you guys to bridge the development, the purchase and the development. I'm asking for £670,000. I'll be putting in £150,000 of my own money. Looking to split the profit 50-50, which is 1.15 million. So what are we buying? We're buying the freehold of this beautiful three-story office building, which is situated in a mixed-use development. I'm not actually going to disclose the area, but it's got very good links to M25. It's really close to Ruislip, Denham, and Rickmansworth, which is really good for the overground and the underground services. It's a 4-minute drive from a hospital, which employ over 1,300 staff. Sorry about that. So currently, this office is open plan. We've got some air conditioning units in there as well, which we could possibly do capital allowances with. Yep. So hopefully it'll be a very easy strip out. I don't actually currently have any plans for this property as of yet, and that is because I've only found this deal on Sunday.
No, Zachary, thank you very much for for that. That's very interesting. I love the fact, of course, that you want to put some money in because a bit of skin in the game, as we say, gives any investor some confidence. And congratulations to you for being so successful in your current business. You haven't made many bad decisions in your life, clearly.
Thank you.
Ranjan, would you like to start?
Yeah. You mentioned there's a covenant issue in the
Yes,
pack.
yes.
Can you just talk us through that? So basically there's a covenant on the property that prevents residential conversion.
That's right, yeah. So at the moment,
What's the likelihood of overcoming that?
honestly, likelihood is, I suppose, 50-50. However, we won't be purchasing this without the covenant being removed. So, I mean, there's no risk to you guys.
No, the one thing about covenants, if they're very, very old covenants, then you can't track down the owners, then obviously you can insure it quite cheaply. If it's quite a recent covenant, then it's all about money. It's all about money. And whatever you have to pay them, you need to take it off the purchase price, really. That's really, to be quite blunt about it, that's where you are. Would you agree with that, Ranjan? Is that something?
Absolutely, yeah, you can insure against it. What sort of project experience have you had in doing similar type of projects?
I've actually done no project at all.
Okay.
But you've trained him, for goodness
Yeah,
sake.
of course.
He can do anything now.
There's no problem. He can do anything that's simple, quote unquote, from you, Ranjan.
I'm looking to leverage you guys'
If you want to do
experience.
something more complicated, come and speak to me.
No, this is very achievable. 6,000 square
Yeah,
foot.
it's sensible.
It's
Yeah.
sensible stuff.
Yeah. All right, Paul, what are your thoughts?
I'm just trying to work out the numbers.
Well, you're the brains. If you can't work it out, no one can. You're the most intelligent man I know.
Could you give us the basic numbers? So purchase price, build
Yes.
cost, and then value, please.
Yeah, no problem at all. So purchase price, they're asking for 1.65 million.
Yep.
Building costs, I've calculated as 971,000. That will be at £150 per square foot.
Yep.
Professional fees, I've done 10% of the build cost, which is 97,000. Contingency, I've got 10% of the build cost once again, which is 97,000. Stamp duty is 72,000.
Yep.
Finance costs, I might have over-egged it, which is 400,000. That's only because...
Ranjan told you to.
No. When I actually looked, I actually tried to get this done myself. However, because of my lack of experience, the bridging companies, they want to put like, I think 12% interest.
No,
so,
I think the good thing about using one of us, if you like, is that hopefully we can talk to banks and get a low rate because of our experience. So
that's what I was hoping.
You're absolutely right. And by the way, everything you've said there is absolutely right. So congratulations to Ranjan.
Well
because
trained.
I have to say, he's been well trained. I hate to say it almost, really.
With gritted teeth.
With gritted
He's
teeth.
been well trained.
So well done. Seriously, well done. So, okay. Right, so we've got all the figures, Paul. You've got all the figures now.
You've got the figures now.
Do you want us to come back to you, Paul?
Time frame.
Time frame, I'm hoping for development and sale for 18 months. So 12 months of development and 6 months to sell. However, the sales market at the moment in this area is extremely good. There's very high demand and very low stock. At the moment, we've got only six one-beds in this area of that postcode. And all of them basically been put in June. So that goes to show there's very little stock for one beds, and there's about 20 two beds in the area being sold.
All right, Paul. Shall we go to Helen now?
Yeah.
May we go to Helen, please? Hi, Helen. You're back with us. What do you think?
Hi. Won't surprise you to know that I also have a question around the numbers. I was struggling with them a little bit like Paul was. In the costs in terms of the bridging and for the build, have you actually included the finance costs, i.e. the interest, in those numbers?
Can you guys hear me? Oh, here we go. So the finance cost is 400,000, which I've put into the numbers, and that's for the current profit that you guys can see.
I think that's 12%, Helen. We thought that was a bit high. If he's joint venture with us, we all felt that probably we could reduce that probably to 7, 8, 9%, that sort of level.
Right, okay, I see. Okay, and the 18 months, that includes selling them?
That's correct, yeah.
Why so confident?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm just.
Well, he's been well trained, that's why he's so confident.
Oh, sorry. No, wait. I'm so confident about the selling of it is because there's very little stock, Helen, in the area. There's only 6 one-beds and 20 two-beds right now. The 6 one-beds all got put up during June.
That's now, though.
Okay.
What's the market going to look like when you deliver these in 12, 18 months' time?
Yeah.
No one can tell.
I think the answer is, Helen, isn't it? That we always want to see, you know, a figure, and then we want to see it reduced because the market might change. And I think that's probably the only thing you're missing on what you've said so far, probably.
I would like to point out that the values of the flats, I have reduced them. They're quite conservative. I've spoken to all of the real estate agents in the vicinity of this area, and they've said, so they've given me, so I don't have the figures right now, but they've given me a certain value, and I've actually lowered those values.
You've got just under 3.5 million total value at the end. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Yep. Can I just jump in there, because purchase for 1.65 million. Is that correct?
Yeah.
We've gone through the numbers, so we were 970,000 for the build. Sorry, I'm trying to bring everyone in the room on the same page as me, but I'm adding that up with the finance costs. Your total then cost, GDC if you like, is not including the purchase, is just almost 1.7 million. If you add that to the purchase price, you're at like 3.4 million total cost, but your GDV is only 3.48 million. It doesn't make a penny.
That's what I was struggling
Doesn't make a penny of profit. I think you've made a mistake in your
I've made a mistake on
So I think you've been badly trained.
Okay. No. You know what that?
Oh!
Whose course should you go on again?
Listen, you don't need your money back. Don't worry.
Has he got a decent
refund? Get
refund
it back
policy?
if you asked. But Ranjan.
No, joking aside, I think there might be a fairly major error in your costings.
Yeah, sorry, I did make an error in my calculations.
Okay, Ranjan, do you like to help here, please?
Well, basically, it doesn't stack up on the figures presented. But I think you've found the right type of deal. I think we need to look at it further, and I think you probably need to kind of relook at the figures and maybe approach us afterwards, because there's something, it's just not possible to fully do this justice. I do agree this is a good sort of area. I think it's got good sales prospects, good rental prospects.
It's very close to where you operate, isn't it?
Well, we've got quite a few.
Within your 5-mile radius.
We've got quite a few in development within 15 minutes drive of that.
5-mile radius,
the area.
like I said.
But this, but I'm not positive. It's not possible to evaluate this based on the figures as they're presented.
Of course, no problem.
Well, you say that, Ranjan, but that's what we're here to do. So,
no, I mean,
shall we start with Helen? Shall we come back to you? What are your thoughts? A yay or nay, Helen, please.
Nay for me today. Numbers need looking at.
Okay, thank you, Helen, very much. Paul.
I think it's a terrible shame, because if the wrong numbers were right, this would be the only deal worth investing in today.
Yeah, it's a cracking side.
That's debatable.
Well, from my perspective,
okay.
Anyway. The 33% is what you want to see, isn't it? And if I was to do this deal, I'd want to do it with one of the other angels anyway, because I think you're going to need a lot of help. But this being your first deal, and it not necessarily being a small one.
No.
So you're going to need a bit of hand holding with it, which isn't a problem. That's what we're here for. But yeah, obviously the numbers are wrong, and unfortunately the development, the way it currently stands, doesn't make any money, which therefore means it's not worth doing. So
No from you. Okay, Ranjan, what's your?
I'm afraid it's a no for me for the reasons stated, and I'm not. Just looking at the plot, I'm not entirely convinced you'll get residential covenant lifted.
Right next to it, it's got loads of residential development. So right next to it, as in on the left-hand side of it, it's got commercial units on the bottom, and it's got residential.
No, I know. That argument is more of a planning argument than
Not a
who
covenant
owns the
argument,
freehold and who has put the covenant on it years ago. And they can say whatever they want, actually.
So that's a no from you, Ranjan?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay. Nicholas, you like to see the good in everybody and everything, so
I think that's
why you're so popular and I'm not. Go on.
Can I talk now, John?
Please do.
Thank you. One little tip you've put in your spreadsheet is business rates, yearly at 45,000. If you can get conversion on this, you can derate it instantly once you start the strip out. So it's another tip for you to save a bit of money on your numbers. But I think the simple mistake looking at this that you've done is you forgot to add in the purchase price back into your numbers. It's a silly error. Anyone can do it. I think you've done a good presentation. It's a really good pack. It's a really good site if the numbers worked, which unfortunately they don't. So I'm sorry, I can't help you today, but keep up the good work. Keep looking. Hopefully find a really good deal soon.
Zachary, unfortunately, I think you know this deal doesn't work. The first thing I want to be asking the agent is who's got the covenant. The agent, typical agent, hasn't looked at it properly, hasn't worked out any figures because they don't know what they're doing, most agents, in terms of value. They're just told by the owner what they want for it. It's probably worth 50% of what it's on the market for. But you're on the right lines. Love the fact you're putting some money in. And I wish you all the very best. We all do. And I think a slightly less ambitious property to cut your teeth would be sensible. But you'll go far. It's not a problem. No problem.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zachary. Okay, so we've got 10 minutes left. We're going to do a little bit of a Q&A with the audience, if that's all right.
Certainly.
Fabulous.
Definitely. Say something there. I think the real shame with all three people that presented today was all three of them were very investable.
Yes.
And they were all on the right track.
Yep.
But the deals just didn't quite stack up.
No.
So if the deals were slightly better, I think all three of them would have got investment.
Yeah, I think high standards is, I say high standards, I mean high profit, really. That's my high standards. You've got to be looking in this market at 35%. It's as simple as that. And if you can't get there, don't try and squeeze it in to make it work. If it doesn't work, throw it in the bin and go and find another deal. There's thousands of deals out there.
I think 35% is unrealistic, though, John, in the current market. You need to be, taking something sensible that's got low risk, 25% margin, with PD, with it already approved, with a good build team. Why can't you go and make that sort of level of profit?
Because the 25% can easily be 10 or 5% in the end.
Yeah, but you still need your contingency in there, of course.
It can still be. You can still have problems. You show me a property developer that's never lost any money, and I'll show you a liar. And when you lose money in property, it makes you cautious. It makes you more cautious than perhaps when I first started my career. I'm probably much more cautious now than I was then.
In excess of 30% is achievable in this market, particularly with permitted development. And I think one of the main reasons for it is that when you're dealing with PD conversions, the fabric of the building is already there. You've got the foundations, you've got the walls, you've got the roofs, you've got the windows. And as long as it's a newer type of building, your conversion costs is good, which means that you can achieve 30% plus margin. The only thing I'd add to what John is saying, yes, I'd aim for 35% margin in today's market, and I want to be in and out in a year. And with PD, you can do that. You can be in and out in a year, because 35% over 3 years is not great.
Exactly. No, that's a very good point. Speed is so important. Speed is so important with all these things, to be organised before you start, before you purchase, to have everything lined up so when you get it, bang, you can get on with it. Nicholas,
has anyone got any questions rather than us just waffling on?
Yep.
Love to help. So, can we get
Bear with us 1 sec, we'll get a mic to you.
I was curious, can you hear me? Yes.
Yep.
I was curious to hear, you talk 25, 30, 35%. One of the deals you've done recently with maybe a similar amount, if you could walk us through the figure, what was it, how much were the costs and everything else? A bit of the other way around, now you're the one presenting the deal.
I like
That's interesting.
I like it.
That's interesting.
I like that.
Nicholas, off to you.
Well, I can give you a deal that is well over 35%. We bought a care home about a year ago. We're in to 3 pre-apps on it. That's how prepared we are. It had a free house on site, which was the owner's accommodation for the staff, sorry. We sold that off having spent 100 grand on that, just tarting it up, which brought the overall purchase price down to just over 900,000 for the site. So it was 1.4 million, we sold the house for 500. So 900 grand purchase price for the care home. It's 14,500 square feet. It's an extremely light refurb because we're turning it into cluster flats, which will be HMOs, which is why we've done 3 pre-apps, because the council are belt and braces with it, but we're extremely well prepared with all the right reports. We've gone with every statement and a consultation report under the sun. And we're looking at a GDV on investment value there of probably somewhere between 3.5 and 4 million. And probably a refurb of about £100 a square foot, if that. Yeah. Probably less than that. So, I mean, but we've taken planning risk on that. So to get those kind of margins, there's extreme, high planning risk.
There is that as well. Some of us are in a more fortunate position than others. Some of you in the room can pay cash, and if you can pay cash, obviously that does help substantially.
Can I add one more thing on that deal, John, just quickly? You've got to be in it to win it, right? And that's why I sort of argue on some deals, if there's another angle. Now, we actually got approached by the local boarding school on this site that is 100 metres away, and they want to double the size of their boarding in the next 2 years. It's under C2 planning as a care home. Boarding schools fall under C2 planning. So we've checked with our consultants, and we can move them straight in. They want a 25-year lease, and it will value it at 5 million. So we're halfway through that lease negotiation at the moment.
What you're really saying, Nicholas, sometimes it's just to be lucky rather than good, and if you're both, even better.
You make your own luck, John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. And we've just got time for one more question. Anybody else? Yep, gentleman at the back, please, Jacob.
I was going to answer that question as well. Too late now,
I guess. Hi. Just on a quick question. A project which Zachary put forward, he had a purchase price of 1.6. Immediately when it was put to you guys, you said it should be worth about half that. The first question is, why would you just say immediately it's worth about half that? And secondly, if it is worth half that, how do you find properties that are viable to buy at that sort of price? Because mostly, anyone that, any property that's on the market or anyone that's selling it, even if it goes into auction, would probably achieve market value. So the main question is, how, firstly, do you get something below market value? And the property which Zachary's found, how would you find that around 700 or whatever to make a proposition viable? Thank you.
Okay, so Mike. Now, a lot of the 3 deals that we've had today, they've all been former commercial properties. And you mentioned market value. And with commercial properties, particularly empty commercial properties, where the previous use is now defunct, it's not easy to value them. Vendors have a problem with it, agents have a problem with it, auctioneers have a problem with it. And the reason they have a problem with it is the value is largely up to you and your vision. So the person that will win that property is the person that has the best exit plan for that property. So if you found a way, I bought a property in Amersham recently, and I spoke to the underbidder, and they could only get 3 flats out of it. We got 4. That's why we were able to pay a little bit more, because our figures still worked out. So it's all to do with commercial property. It's all to do with what is the end game that you can vision for that property. So if you have the knowledge and the vision to come up with the best GDV and rental cash flow for that asset, then you will be able to pay more than the next guy. And that's how you win these deals time and time again.
Being creative, working out how to chop up the building, maximise the asset, maximise the exit with various different potential rental strategies as well.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the assumption is that just because someone wants 1.65 million for it, that is the market value, and that's not true.
Yes.
That's just what they want for it. And it may well just be worth 700,000, but they think it's worth 1.6.
Yeah.
And by the way, when you start tracking commercial properties for sale, it is interesting to just track these properties and see how long they stay on the market. It's amazing how many of these properties, they go on the market and all the newbies go on in the first week getting really excited, fixing up viewings and all of that. And then you see it's back on the market a couple of months later and 100 grand's been chipped off and it keeps on going on like that.
I've got a great example, actually, before we take another question, if anyone's ready. Saw a property yesterday in Holland Park, best part of London, right, prime central London, ex-embassy building, so it's commercial. They've had a positive pre-app response. Okay, they're asking a fair bit of money. How much do you think? Let's see if it's the guy. Ranjan's more Londony, so what do you reckon? It's about 10,000 square foot.
About a couple of 100 grand?
Per square foot.
No, go for it.
Anyone guess? 5 million? Anyone know? He's close. Higher. No, it's 25 million. And it's an awesome property. It's been on the market for 2 years. This is a commercial to resi conversion on Holland Park in the best place in the world to buy property, and it's still on the market. So they've probably priced it too high. They're looking for an owner-occupier that wants to spend another 15 million on it, and it'll be worth what they've paid for it. It's not a development.
Ranjan's already got somewhere, so he's not going to want another one.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's all we've got time for today, unfortunately. Please, can you all put your hands together for our angels today?
Thank you.
And also to Helen, for still making it with us.
And Helen.
And yeah, just one more thank you to Crowd Property, our sponsors. The ladies will be at the back. Give us a wave. If anybody would like to go and have a chat with them, please do. Follow everybody on social media. Subscribe to their YouTube channels.
And propertyelevator.tv.
Yes.
Propertyelevator.tv.
And propertyelevator.tv. Thank you all so much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.